Okay, so my major claim is as follows. The assumption that English is the language of the United States could lead to a separation within society. My supporting claims are, first, the United States is a cultural mixing pot. Second, the early 1900s concept of Americanization may become once again popular. And third, minorities could be negatively influenced by the notion that all individuals residing in the United States should speak what is called American. Going back to the first, the United States is a mixing pot. There has been a long history of immigration into the nation from many parts of the world. According to Hasia Diner, a professor of history from Harvard, the first colonialized settlers began to immigrate into the nation during the 17th century. And the industrial era of the United States was a big period in time in which immigration was allowed from China and Ireland, including many other locations, to be able to build primarily the railroads that exist now in the States. Also, what are known as white Americans today have large ancestry from many European lands, meaning that even those who claim to be of the States, and primarily of the States, which require many people to speak English and only English, are immigrants as well as those who are here today. Immigration, along with bringing culture, brings language, which means that there are many foreign languages existing in the nation today. According to the 2000 census, there is a majority of the population who speaks English, which is an 82.1% of the population. However, there are also many other languages which exist within the states, including Spanish, which is a 10.7% of the population, other Indo-European languages, 3.8%, Asian and Pacific Island languages, 2.7%, and other, which includes 0.7% of the population. Moving on to my second point of Americanization. In the early 1900s, there was a concept known as Americanization in which immigrants were put into school and taught what is known as the American society standards. They were essentially stripped of their identity and forced to give up their foreign cultures and languages to become what is now considered American. In other words, this act of Americanization was no more than ethnocentric, which is believing that one ethnicity is superior to another on any basis. This act of Americanization also caused many discriminatory problems within society, causing minorities to feel suppressed by the American society, knowing that speaking English was the only positive thing that they could contribute to the States. The third point regarding speaking American, it is very well known that American is a slang for speaking English in the United States. However, many minorities who come from other locations in the globe do not speak English, but rather Spanish or Portuguese or another Asian language. And due to this problem, they find it very difficult to communicate with people. However, they should not be treated as outsiders because there is no official language within the United States, meaning that every language is accepted as long as you are able to communicate with someone. Also, this task of speaking American also influences many minorities in the sense that they are forced to feel inferior to the Americans who do speak English, and therefore are forced to be separated from everyone else. An example of separation within society is clearly demonstrated in a play written by Luis Valdés, which is known as Los Bandidos. This is a satirical play in which Valdés describes the ignorance behind stereotypes and he is able to demonstrate how Mexican Americans and other Latinos are forced to regulate themselves according to American standards. And this is a clear demonstration of how American society is creating a gap within the different nationalities in the country. Once again, I would like to state that the United States is a cultural mixing pot, and it is unclear as to why the assumption that English is the national language of the United States should be kept, and such a belief could lead to the separation within American society. Thank you.
The proposition's identified, the phrasing's a little complicated. I think there's probably a simpler way to express it. The main points were clearly laid out. I think you need to give us a little bit more background on why this is a controversy. Are there English-only movements? Are there states that are pursuing English as their official language? Is there been a proposal in the Congress to make English the official language? Something like that, so I know why you're talking about this. Because basically, if 82% of the population speaks English, what's the issue? I'm not sure why there's a controversy on this particular point, except that there's an inference somewhere that if this were to happen, then it would be similar to forcing Americanization on people, which is similar to something that happened in the past, and then there might be a problem. A lot of conditional statements there that I think you need to offer some proof on. I think the clearest evidence that you have is basically the information about the people who speak different languages. You've got some statistical information from the census on that. There's no information on that second point about the Americanization, and no demonstration that any harms occurred. There's an assertion that there might have been some cultural harm, but I don't see any examples. Just some theory about that particular idea. Same thing is true on the third point in arguing that there's a gap. Doesn't the language barrier that already exists create a gap? How does it get worse if English is the official language? That was not really very clear. The only reference that you have on that third point is to the play, and since most of us don't get an opportunity to see the play here, it's a little hard for us to visualize the exact impact that you're talking about. I thought that you did a nice job talking to the audience, and there's a clear structure that's easy to follow, but the supporting material needs to be developed a lot more to be convincing. All right, thank you.